Welcome to a review of the Hopcat 50 litre homebrew machine. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth would I need 50 litres in my life? Surely the 25 litre machines are better for me, more convenient. Well, this is all about flexibility. You'll get about 40 litres at the end of the whole process, and you can split that how you like. You could have maybe 10 litres for a chocolate stout. You could have 10 litres for a chocolate stout with milk. You could split the end process, in various ways. Of course, if you want to do a small batch, you can. That's the flexibility of this unit. You could do 10 litres, 20 litres, up to you. We're going to do a 40 litre batch today, just to test it out to its full capacity. So, in terms of what you get for your money in the box, obviously you've got the main unit itself. You get the grain basket inside, which has a false bottom there, as well as the mash plate, which you put on top, the perforated mash plate there, which sits on top of the grain basket. The pump itself is integrated into the base of the unit, and you can put that on during to recirculate the wort. Another main feature of this is, in fact, you can pump into the fermentation bucket at the end of the process, and that makes it quite unique compared with some other systems out there. Price-wise, we're looking at around about just over the £500 mark, which includes the Wort Chiller you might just be able to see in the background, and we think that's really, really good value for a 50 litre homebrew machine, and it certainly undercuts a lot of the competitors. And also, obviously, other features include the lid as well. You've got inside, just as you can see on top there. So it really is, all in all, a complete system here for your home brewing needs, and very much looking forward to doing a full brew on this. Right, we've just reached our mash temperature, so we're going to add the grains there and rejoin you during that process. Okay, now the control panel is actually quite straightforward and intuitive to use. There are, of course, full instructions supplied for that as well, but essentially there are two main modes to follow here, and that is the manual mode versus the auto mode. The very first thing you're going to need to do is to turn on the PCB switch, and that will give you the power to the control panel and the machine. So the difference between the two modes: manual mode enables you to enter a temperature setting with the timer and power rating as well. The auto mode allows you to do up to 6 individual profiles for temperature, power and time. So that will be followed automatically on the machine. We're going to show you how to do the manual mode anyway. So start off by pressing the manual button. As you can see, it's already reading the temperature of the water there. The next thing you need to do is to set temperature. So press temp, and our mash temperature is 66, so we can just hold that down and get that to 66 degrees. There we go. A couple of seconds and that will lock in. The power rating, well, we want to heat this up pretty quickly, so we're going to hit power, and it's already set at 3000 watts, which is the maximum here. And then we want the final setting, which is going to be our mash profile. That's going to last for 90 minutes. So hit the timer button, and we're going to hold that down until it scrolls along to 90. Now, once all that is set up, it's simply going to be a case of pressing the start button. The machine takes over, and you'll hear a slight click as the element kicks in, and that'll bring that water up to temperature, we hope, quite quickly. Here we go, slightly over, that's fine. Go down one. There we go. So once that's locked in, as you'll see, there we go. Now we're ready to start. Hit the start button, and the whole process has begun. Right, welcome back. So we're actually going to be trying out a kit called Root Citrus 6 with this, and we're going to add the first lot of grains here. Now, we're often asked how to get higher efficiencies from these homebrew machines, and the real key to it is making sure that you stir out those pesky dough balls. That's where the grain clumps together, and of course you're reducing the surface area in contact with the water there, so you're not getting to extract all those sugars that we need for the brew process. So just give it a little pause there, and we're going to give it a stir. We've only got a plastic one, to be honest. You should, I guess you could use a longer plastic one or a wooden one. Ours isn't great, but should just about be good enough for this process. You'll notice as well we've got the white cap over the malt pipe there. That's important. We don't want any grain going down to underneath the false bottom there, because there's a chance that will stick and burn on the element. And also you might be able to see that the clearance between the grain basket and the outside of the unit is minimal, so the chances of any of those grains escaping down the sides also is pretty low. Okay, this process is going to take a while. We've got 4 bags of the grains to add, so we'll rejoin you when we're just about to turn on the recirculation pump. Okay, so we're now at the stage where we've added all the grain. We've hopefully stirred out all of those dough balls that have clumped together, and so we're ready to add the top plate now. This is the perforated plate here, which we can use, and we can place it on top of the grain bed. So you can now remove the cap here. If we just take that out, that's from the malt pipe. And that will allow the wort to circulate up and down through that, and then out into the bottom, and then round through the pump again during the recirculation stage. Right, so here we go. Here's the plate going on. So simply slip it on top of the malt pipe there, and you just want it to sit on top of the grain bed. You don't grain bed, sorry. There, you don't really have to add any pressure in particular. Just for it to be seated on top is fine. Okay, so we're now ready to go. We're going to have a go at connecting up the pump, and we'll join you for that stage. So you're now ready to recirculate the worts during the mash process. To do so, you'll need this curved section of pipe. Just look at the engineering on that, really thick walls there. Great bit of kit. And you'll notice it's got this rubber handle as well. For when it's a bit hotter later on, you can handle it a little bit easier. So seat that inside the base like so, and you'll notice you've got these 2 arms here. You need to push those down. A little bit stiff at first, but after a few uses it seems to have got a bit easier to do. That's fine, nice and firmly in position. Make sure that the valve is off as well until you need to press the pump on button. Okay, so we're going to join you at the next stage where we're going to turn on the pump. Let's just turn the valve on, so we're all set to go now at this point, and we'll see you in a second. Right, so we're now at the stage, as you can see, we've turned on the pump and we've got the wort recirculating through. It's important you adjust the flow rate to get the right amount here. Too much flow rate will mean that there's not enough wort at the bottom there, so it means you're going to risk scorching the wort at the bottom. So you can adjust the flow rate with this valve on the side to the vertical position for maximum flow rate, or you can move it up to the horizontal to reduce that down. We're going to set it at around about there. Seems to be good for us. Okay, so we're going to rejoin you when we're ready to sparge. Now, that's going to be about 65 minutes time, but of course, with the magic of television, we'll see you very soon. Right, so we're coming up on the sparge time now. We're going to do that with 77 degrees C water, and as you can see, the control panel is just shut down there to let us know. And it's also beeping at us to tell us that the time is up for the mash stage, and we're ready to sparge. So we'll rejoin you when the malt pipe's been lifted up. That's going to be quite a heavy process, I think, so we'll see you again shortly. Just one more thing to mention too, as we're about to sparge, we're also going to increase the temperature of the water, so we don't have to hang about too long for that, for the boiling phase. So to do that, we're going to do the same as before, hit the manual setting. We're then going to choose our temperature, which we're going to shoot for just above 100. Make sure we've got a proper boil on the go, and up it goes. And we're going to have the full 3000 watts to start with. However, as soon as we've got the boil going, we're going to reduce that down to about 1300 because we don't want to scorch those sugars on the bottom there. So, okay, so let's set that. The power next 3000. And the timer, we've got a 70-minute boil for that, so we can just whack that up as well. That can be nicely heating up whilst we do the sparge, which is going to take, what, 15-20 minutes, I guess, by the time the grain bed is drained through. So let's just increase that. So far, so good, though. Very straightforward to use, very easy, builds up the confidence. So we'll join you again at the sparge stage. Welcome back. So as you can probably hear, we're in the process of sparging at the moment. We've lifted up the grain basket there. That was quite a lot of effort to do, actually. We have got the maximum amount of ingredients in there, so it did weigh quite a bit. But it's now seated with 4 points. I'm going to show you those. There's one of them. There's one over here. 4 points allows it to seat on the rim of the homebrew machine itself, so that's nice and sturdy once it's up there. So we're going to sparge that with 77 degrees Celsius water. And then we're going to basically boil this and add our first hop profile. We'll join you at the stage where we're going to add the hops. Okay, so we're now just approaching boiling temperature, at which point we're going to add our first batch of the Citra hops here. Put them inside a hop sack, is that what you call them? Hop sack, sounds like a good name. We're going to throw it in now and make sure hopefully it doesn't boil over as well. Now, we did get a bit of a stuck sparge going on, so we have had to sort of fiddle it a little bit, top up a little bit of water there. Yeah, that was really probably our fault for pouring the sparge water in too quickly, but we'll learn from that for next time, certainly. But at the moment, this is going really nicely. As you can see, we're boiling now, so we'll rejoin it again a little bit later on when we're ready to actually add the second batch. Welcome back. You join us at the end of the boil stage now. We are in the process of chilling this right down now with the Wort Chiller, which is included in this particular package. And yeah, essentially we've got it connected up to our outside hose pipe as the inlet. We clamp that as well, and then on the outlet it's going straight into our sink. And that has already reduced the temperature down from boiling down to 74 degrees C in a matter of about 2 minutes. So yeah, it's going to take a bit longer for the lower temperatures to obviously get it down to pitching temperature, which is around about 20 degrees C. But we're looking at maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And we'll rejoin you at the stage where we're going to put it into the fermentation buckets and add the yeast. Okay, so we're near the end of the process now. We've chilled that right the way down to our pitching temperature for the yeast, and so it's going to be a simple case of opening up the tap and letting that flow into our fermentation bucket. Now, the other thing we're going to do, we're going to split it between this bucket and another vessel as well, because of the quantities involved, but essentially, hopefully, it'll be exactly the same brew process overall. And of course, we'll feed back to your actual findings on taste and aroma of the brew at the end of the fermentation process. But it will join us again in a moment. We'll have a quick summary of our findings of using the Hopcat 50 litre brewing system. So, final thoughts of using the Hopcat 50 litre home brew machine. Well, let's break these down in terms of pros and cons. First up, packaging. The item was really well packaged for delivery and arrived in excellent condition. Second up, in terms of the build quality, we found that the individual components and parts used on the machine are really high quality, and we expect them to last for many, many years of home brewing. Now, the functionality of the machine was also very straightforward. Once you got the hang of the menu, which was a little bit fiddly to start with, but once you've done it a couple of times, that was actually really quite straightforward. We like the flexibility of the machine as well, the ability to do smaller batches, 10 litre, 20 litre, 30 litre, all the way up to 40 litres if you wish. It's great. You can experiment. You could break down a large 40 litre brew into several smaller ones and add different ingredients. Just experiment with it, really. We like the idea it's got a 3000 watt heating element. That really did bring up the boiling temperature really quickly and maintained it, so that was really quite attractive. And the idea that you can pump the wort into the fermentation vessel at the end of the brewing process was really quite nice. You probably want to use some kind of a filter. Some people wash out the grain basket and use that as a filter for that particular process. So what about improvements, things to improve? Well, we would like to have seen some more feet welded onto the grain basket, because with such a massive amount of grain in there for our 40 litre brew, it really was very heavy to lift out there and quite awkward too. So maybe, I've seen on some homebrew machines, they've got the feet at the bottom, but they've also got feet halfway up, so you could incrementally pull up the grain basket for the sparge process. Other than that, really no other improvements we could see from this machine. It really was an absolute joy to use, and we really like the flexibility in particular. We hope you do too. Check it out, it's the Hopcat 50 litre homebrew machine.